And hello, it's me, the unexpected D-O-double-G, and it is the award-winning Absolute Football Podcast. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking, what is that man doing there? He must be too sad to run the show today. Really, I am, but what is even sadder news is Sam is having a few technical issues at the moment, so he isn't with us at the moment. So I'm completely unprepared for everything that is going to happen. I wasn't even planning to be here until Klopp decided to just destroy my weekend for me, and so bear with us. We're gonna power through. I mean, I said in our private chat, I don't know if Hannah or Dan noticed it. We missed a perfect opportunity to allow Hannah to run the show for a week. That would have been interesting. as a first off, but thank you for joining us. Thank you for bearing with us as well, everybody in the chat. We've got people there already. I think we've noticed. Mark FC is in there. Spenny fan Chris, who is back home in the UK. I was going to sing back from the USSR, but that's not the case at all, is it? And we've got Mr. Luke in there. Luke, good evening, sir. And Simon's here as well. Good evening, Simon. Who else is here? And Brandon, Nottingham Forest fan Brandon, thank you for joining us this evening. Jen, you weren't late. We were late. We were trying to build up the anticipation, make everyone excited. Sean here with this as well. Look at all these people in here. Absolutely lovely to see you all here. And Charlotte, of course. Charlotte, thank you for joining us. I hope you're feeling better. She's poorly bad with the old tonsillitis. So please feel better soon. It's a little bit off the cuff. Obviously, Sam was going to ask me about the Jurgen Klopp situation. That is the big news. It's the big news. I wasn't planning on introducing myself or monologuing anything. So yeah, Simon, we're gonna get in. We're gonna get it in. We're gonna get it done and dusted. But before I do, and I go off for like the next 25 minutes or so. It's not that long. Hannah, how are you this evening, Hannah?
I'm good, thanks. I know you're not as good as I am, as we discussed whilst we were waiting for the show, but yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's always great to be here.
Sensational. And you'll notice we've got young Daniel with us. Well, young Daniel, how are you?
I will take young any day of the week. But yeah, I'm great, mate. I'm absolutely great, even though it's Monday, but we plow through, don't we? That's why we're here. And massive hello to everyone in the chat.
Well, it is Monday. We do power through, and of course, it's the big news. It is the big news. So we'll talk about it collectively as a team. But first of all, I mean, I thought what is important. I've seen a lot of people in chats and Twitter feed and all of that jazz going on. What's the drama? It's not like someone's died. It's just one manager who's only won one league and all of that jazz. And I think the important thing for me is to sort of create a little bit of context around Klopp and Liverpool and why it's so impactful, which hopefully will then allow people to feel a little bit more educated on the situation. I mean, there's two types of Liverpool fan in this day and age, really, until you get to sort of like the age of 50 and 60. And that is sort of pre and post Klopp. Myself, I'm quite an old man. I don't look it. I'm full of youthful vigor. But at my sort of age, I started supporting Liverpool after our peak, after we have just been dominating the whole of world football, winning the league, or the League One as it was at the time, not the Premier League, because that didn't exist, and winning European Cups and getting to finals and performing well in Europe for fun. When I became a Liverpool fan, that had all ended, fortunately for some, and we had Graham Souness was our manager, and I'm not sure if you're aware, he wasn't fabulous. I think we were finishing sort of eighth position when he ended up going. And then as memory serves, we had Roy Evans. And that was around the yellow suits, the Pet Shop Boys sort of look that we had going, the Spice Boys era. And I mean, all of that sort of comes together. And that'll show that we had it wasn't a fabulous time to be a Liverpool fan. We had gone from being one of the top teams in world football to sort of becoming a little bit of a laughing joke. Almost, we had a team of almost people, serial underdogs, as I like to feel. And then as time went on, we had Gerard Houllier and his success, which was laughed at the time. Even now, his treble, which was effectively the Europa League, FA Cup, League Cup. Again, that was his sort of minor treble. And then Rafa Benitez coming, and even at the good time of Rafa Benitez, that was a Champions League victory and almost challenging United, having a mental rant at Alex Ferguson. If you've not seen that, if you're young enough that you don't know his rant of facts, the Rafa Benitez facts rant, check that bad boy out. And that went really well for him. That worked fabulously well. Liverpool went on to bottle the league. And after we had the Gillette and Hicks, and here he is. Oh my God, it's Sam. He's time.
I think I've made it. I'm so sorry, everybody. Hello. Sorry, you're mid-flow.
That's all right. Let's set us up in the right. There we go, because he's hosting. That's where Sam lives, when he's hosting. But yeah, I was saying, then we had during the Rafa Benitez area, just after we went. I'm trying to remember the manager immediately after Rafa, but that was a sort of Kenny Dalglish era, and then when that's when Gillette and Hicks came in and nearly destroyed us as a club. One day, a matter of hours away from being relegated, and Sam can't handle it. Sam can't take the pressure of it, and it's just frozen him. And we had all of that. We had Roy Hodgson destroying the team, and then Brendan Rodgers coming in, finishing 5th, 6th, then 2nd, then 4th, and 5th, and 6th. So all of this means in the last 15 odd years, we've been a club of almost. Inconsistency, almost performing well, but not really. And who feared? I mean, Hannah, as a United fan, did you fear playing Liverpool under Roy Hodgson or Brendan Rodgers or King Kenny the second time?
No, I think people always sum it up really well. Like, it's only in recent years that the Liverpool United rivalry isn't really a rivalry anymore, because you absolutely spank us every time we get together twice a season. So not as much as we fear the Klopp era. So you
exactly. Right. It's like, I mean, and then that's where it went. That's where it went to. And then when Jurgen Klopp came in, he's a manager far above us. But what he did was galvanize the team and took us from being a laughing stock, basically, from missing out on things all the time. Gerrard slip, ha ha ha, isn't that hilarious? Rafa's facts rant, Brendan Rodgers praising every performance, even if it was garbage. We're at the point now where we are one of the elite teams in world football. Klopp's won everything. His win percentage over 3 seasons was more than 70%. He is second in the most consecutive Premier League unbeaten streak, 44 games. He's second only to Arsene Wenger's Arsenal's. He set points tallies. He is the second all-time manager of high points at the current era, just behind I think Man City and Pep Guardiola, the most points set over the last sort of 10 years. He's moved Liverpool into an elite level, which we've never seen in our lifetime, in none of us. And that's where the big thing, but people need to consider, that's where the big loss has been, is that we've gone from being perennials, try-hards, underdogs, to being the team that people fear. I mean, if you recall, Hannah and Sam on multiple occasions fearing playing Liverpool at various times. And Man City, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp's actually beaten out of all the heads-to-heads. Klopp has the advantage, 12 wins to Pep's 11. And that's across multiple leagues. And that's why, in the context of things, that's why it's such a big loss, because he's brought the team together. Sam is bringing the team together. Here he is. He's there.
I'm hopeful. If I go, I go, but I'm hoping to stay.
But I mean, hopefully, I don't know if you caught any of that, Sam, but basically, I've set the context around the reason why it hurts so bad is what he's created is something that nobody has created since, sort of like Paisley and, Shankly, that sort of era. And that's where we are. And also, no one saw it come in. Nobody saw it come in. I thought he was going to be in until 2026 as his contract runs until, and it didn't. It was a shock. It was a complete shock. And that's why, I mean, hopefully, but people like, I know, like Simon's sort of, I don't know whether he's just joshing me or not, whether he's legitimately doesn't give a crap. But that's where the context is of why it hurts so bad and what he's created from Liverpool, from their underdog status into this big family. We're a massive family. The crowd's behind everything. And I will say, I mean, people, I do get my little narc, the COVID Cup that you won, the COVID Premier League. they actually won it before the COVID really kicked in, because after COVID, we were crap after lockdown. We were quite poor after that. And really, the lockdown season was the one after, if you remember, over half the season played without fans, whereas the one that we actually won was like 2 months that we played without it.
Is that the one where Ashley Barnes broke your record? Sorry, just to jump in there, but
I have no idea.
That 60-odd game home record.
I know. I mean, another record we had. I mean, I'm shocked. I mean, I am going to interject if you don't mind, Sam. But Charlotte's got two good points in here. She mentioned about Klopp being an absolute character, protecting his players, and gave the academy players a chance, which he did. Connor Brady at the moment, Trent, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Nico Williams, Nat Phillips, Shea J. Ojo, Ian Brewster, Dominic Solanke. And it's also a gentleman off the pitch and what he does for charity and the children that are suffering, spending time, sending videos. I mean, all these videos are coming up to the woodworks now of like, he sent me my wedding message, he sent me a get well soon message when I had my tonsils out. Charlotte, you missed a trick. You could have had get your tonsils out gift. But but that, hopefully that's context why. And Sam's here now, so hopefully you can steer this conversation so I just don't go on and on.
I knew we'd be in safe hands with you going on and on about Klopp, so I knew I had all the time in the world to prepare myself about the joys of Jurgen Klopp. It's not me frightened to talk about it, by the way. But so yeah, of course, yeah. So sorry, Josh has done the introductions. I do have some limericks, but I'm going to get to them in a bit. I've presented some limericks as part of my introduction, so we'll do a second one in a bit after we do the Jurgen Klopp bit, perhaps. But as we're well in that discussion, so you said you weren't aware of it happening, Josh. No inklings whatsoever. Are you worried about what the impacts will be for the season in terms of where your players go in the summer, the wider impacts beyond just Klopp?
Do you know, my biggest worry is there's no Michael Edwards in role. So what we've got, we had a really good structure, and while Klopp was in the early days, he built up a really good structure of a director of football, recruitment team. But over the last 2 or 3 seasons, as FSG has got lazy, they've sort of let everybody go, devolve that into Klopp, and he's running all of it. If you have a look at our recruitment, that isn't very big. We got a temporary sporting director. That's my biggest nervousness is, for this season, I think it's going to have a galvanizing effect, because that's the sort of mentality the fans and the players have, because they love him. It's like, if your dad's saying I'm moving away, and they're gonna, this is my bucket list of stuff I want to do before I move away, and you want to do everything. I think it's gonna have that effect. But in the summer, players, I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen Virgil van Dijk was questioned, on his future. I mean, he's 33, I think, and he's going to got 1 year left. So I'm not overtly concerned for players like Virgil van Dijk. Salah, I think Salah might go because of money that's going to be offered. Again, I think he's going to have a year left. So I'm not massively. I'm more concerned about there's no structure behind him. So who's going to handle these contracts? Who's going to be making this determination? That's a little bit scary. And when you look at what Klopp's done with players, they brought in players and he's developed them that you didn't see. Like Firmino was already there, but Brendan Rodgers didn't know to use him. There weren't people queuing up to buy Mane. There weren't people queuing up to buy Salah. People laughed when we brought Salah. There weren't people queuing up to buy Virgil van Dijk. Alisson, Hendo was doing okay, and the other managers. He brings all of these players and brings something out of him, and we're going to be losing that. We're going to be losing somebody who can identify and bring the best out of people, and then we've got nothing in the background. That's scary.
It's a big change you've got coming, and I know, Hannah, you're maybe a bit young for the Sir Alex loss. I remember how much that felt at the time, and I really do remember watching that retirement interview of him on the pitch and thinking, this ain't good. This ain't good. I feel like the whole stability's going just in this speech, and I think you can kind of see the echoes, because Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers were mid-table. Whoever takes it on now is taking on a juggernaut, has got something, as you said, issues with players like Salah and all of that to deal with, but a team that's there, that's competing, and is competing this season. So the expectation when they come in is not like Klopp had, which is you've got a bit of time to kind of build it, rectify it, is they'll expect you to kind of hit the ground running. And we'll come on to who we think might be next, I'm sure. But I'll go around the table because I haven't spoken to my co-hosts yet. We had a very brief discussion in amongst some garbled, lagging internets beforehand. But Hannah, I hope you're well. It's a question for you, obviously, from Manchester United's perspective. Say a rival fan lose Klopp going, and I'm sure a very different feeling to how Josh had. So Simon's asked in the chat, do you see Liverpool being as bad as United have since Sir Alex left?
I mean, no. I think Klopp's achieved a lot, and I'm not taking away from that. But I think, when Sir Alex left, it was we went from that, and then we had David Moyes, and then it just went downhill. And I know people don't like to hear this, but the ownership's partly to do with our downfall, and I don't think FSG will balls it up as bad as the Glazers did, basically. I mean, I think it's going to take a while, whoever they get, for the next manager to find his feet, especially if you say, Sam, they lose some absolutely massive players, but then they'll have the money to replace. If they do get, Alonso, it might take him a little bit of time to get used to it, but I think ultimately they will do well. And like you say, they're a team at the moment. They've just bought, in the summer, they did some great business. All of this I hate to say, by the way. They did some great business in the summer. And I think those players that they've signed are doing quite well. I don't think they've made any particularly bad signings like another club that I know very well have recently. So I think they'll definitely drop. But they did that last season. And they literally had one slightly poorer season. They still got European football, and here they are at top of the Premier League. So I think that there is always that risk of it's a change. They're going to have to adapt and adjust, but I do believe they'll get the right person in. And there's so many top managers that are going to be up for grabs in the summer. So watch this space, I say. But I'm not worried for them. I accept that it's a big loss for them, but it was going to happen at some point. And I think, if anything, they're going to have more money. They're going to have a bigger prospect of the players that they want to go after. They're going to be replacing some big names. So I think they'll be fine. I don't feel sorry for them.
And the one thing I think that's key is the timing, isn't it? Is that Klopp seems to, and he suggested in his interview as well, he wanted to give them the time to properly, to not make any hasty decisions, to go about how they want to move the club forward. And because he's so ingrained in everything they've kind of been doing, it is a bigger change. It's not just should we say the Chelsea model where you put your guy in at the front and it doesn't matter 12 months later if he's gone, because he's not. He's not running so many things. I'll just go to the chat. Jen says Liverpool have the players. Now it's just getting the manager to suit the players' style of play. I mean, that's what's quite interesting, I thought, about the Alonso one, because Alonso does play different football. It's not gegenpressing hard. It's more patient, possession-based kind of style. And I know Josh and I have had a discussion off camera. I think we're actually aligned on what we think maybe Liverpool should do if they could do managerial. But we'll go around to yourself, Dan. Hello to you, Dan.
How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. What do you think in terms of Liverpool moving forward? Do you think they go for Alonso now? Do you think they do something else? What would you be doing?
We see a lot of clubs do it now, though, where they go back to a former player. We saw it with Chelsea and Lampard. Won't surprise me if VK ends up at City at some point. The Gerrard thing I don't think will ever happen. I think, obviously, made your bed, you lie in it. Results speak. It's a results business. If you can't go to Saudi and make it, then what's the point? No offense, Josh. I'm not trying to be, bad on Stevie G, Slippy G as Hannah would call him, but still. But no, it's just very, very odd timing. I can understand why, like Josh said earlier, I can understand why now. But I'd have probably said something after the transfer window, maybe. Left it a couple of days. Then you've still got that pulling power of Jurgen Klopp as the manager to bring people into Liverpool. Not that he's not going to be able to, because they know he's buggering off. But I think if they didn't know that at the time. But for me, I think back to, Dash and Klopp having that little spat in the tunnel at halftime that time. And Klopp's, he's always got this bit of a demeanour about him, hasn't he? He looks like this rugged, sort of oaf. He's just, a big guy who just won't take no crap. But then deep down, he's got a heart of gold, wears his heart on his sleeve. He's very passionate about what he believes in, very community focused. And I think if he hasn't got the energy for managerial, whatever he does, then, so we don't know what the underlying problem is or why he wants to leave. I think that's what everybody wants. Everyone wants a definitive answer, not, your energy sapped. I mean, we're all like that after work on a Monday. So, it's just strange timing for me personally. But I think he'll go down as one of the greatest managers in Premier League history as well for what he's achieved with Liverpool and the turnaround of Liverpool's fortunes. And to finish the season with the Premier League this season would be, again, like I said to Josh off camera, it's probably the best time that he could have done it instead of overstaying his welcome like Arsene Wenger did.
Yeah, it's leaving at the top potentially. So, and I think that second Premier League title when we go forward 10, 15 years cements him, I think. With Liverpool fans, he's there. For a lot of fans, he's already there. And there's certainly, on that Mount Rushmore as you talk about it. But I think when you go forward 10 years or so, that second Premier League title would be massive, particularly if we went out on it. I think then there's kind of no argument for me, I think. It's a very interesting one, and lots of sort of stuff in the chat as well coming through. Doug doesn't blame him for leaving, but he's gutted. Said he wanted to leave last season, but stopped him from leaving. I must say though, Dan, I reckon Daishi and Kloppy would be one hell of a sitcom. The two of them together, I reckon you could get some good content out of that. I reckon Daishi and Kloppy wouldn't be too bad at all.
You probably could, but Daishi's so dry, isn't it? I mean, Klopp would be like having to poke him with a stick to like, come on, do something.
Daishi would be your straight man, wouldn't he? And then Klopp would be you're ranting and raving, and then you're cuddling him, and it would be.
To be fair, we're seeing a bit more from Dash now. He's at Everton. He's coming out of his shell a little bit more. I mean, he's even getting involved with football, isn't he? He's getting 2-foot tackles and all sorts of stuff happening to him. So, why not? I mean, obviously, I'm not hosting this, but Josh, like, it must have been such a sad feeling. Like, it's almost like someone's just gone.
It is. I'm trying really hard not to well up. It's been really difficult. It because you got there's just so many memories of so much good they had. Like I said, it was shit for ages. It was so bad for a while, and it's not like we were always bad. But the inconsistency, you didn't know what was going to happen. We get battered by Stoke 1 week. We do really well. I remember the Rafa seasons. Where we finished second. We drew to teams to Middlesbrough that got relegated that season, and it was all those performances like that. And then we get moments with Klopp where you've got like the Barcelona semi-final in the Champions League, overcoming a 3-0 deficit. I remember I was in London when that game was on. I didn't have a hotel booked. I was supposed to be staying somewhere, but my hotel book had been accidentally cancelled. And I was sitting in the pub panicking, trying to get myself. And I remember that vividly. So it was like they've just scored, and I was like, we scored at Anfield. We're always going to score. They've just scored again. I was like, hang on now. And I actually put my food down to go to another place in the bar to try and watch the TV to do it. And those things that you create is just magic. And then to have it such a shot out in the dark. I've said to all you, 2026 his contract runs to, which coincided with Xavi Alonso's 2026 contract as well. And I thought I thought everything was aligned and the universe was coming together. And for it just to land, it's just out of nowhere. And I thought someone's hacked Paul Joyce's Twitter. someone's hacked. Do you know what I actually thought? I thought it was an AI video at first. You've seen all those. There's been a lot of don't search certain people's AI videos on Twitter. By the way, you'll go blind. But I thought it was one of those AI videos that have been created, and I think I said to my nephew's a massive Liverpool fan, and I messaged his mum and dad. It's like, have you seen this? Is this real? Yeah, we don't want to tell him. He's gonna break his heart because he's only 9, and that's all he knows. That's all he knows is this guy who gets so into the fans and is so involved. And it's not like Mourinho's them and us. It's not a confrontational spirit that he's brought to bring people together. He's brought people together through love and affection. You see, he hugs all the players. He loves an ass slap at the end of the game, and you see it all. Giorgio Wijnaldum was saying, his relationship with Klopp was more than just a player and a manager. He said he was like my dad. He said I could go to him about anything. I'd message him, are you free for a bit? And he'd always be available. Even when he's left the club, he's still messaging him. And you feel encompassed in that. And I remember his first game against Tottenham, which we drew 0-0. My boy had been born. I get well up again. My boy had been born 4 days after he started. So that was the first game, and I got to sit there with my lad watching it. And I thought I'd loved Klopp for about 10 years. I'd read an article in 442 of him at Borussia Dortmund, and you wanted that for us because it'd been so hard. And everything had been, we've had such a kick in for so long. So to have someone that you thought was going to give that family feel, I thought I can enjoy this with my lad. The fact that we've got somebody that's going to make us proud, that's going to make the club what you want it to be and get ingrained through positivity. I mean, and that's why that's why I've got so shirty with the media content, because Klopp hasn't changed. He's not giving different media conferences now than he has done previously. He's the same guy. The coverage and what is actually fed back has changed, because if you watch his live press conferences, he's the same guy. And yes, it was a kick in the nuts, completely out of the blue, and it was horrible.
Are you still talking about the Klopp thing or the kickboxing with your lads?
The kick in the nuts bit, yeah.
I wanted to join him so I could take out my frustration as well.
It was a shocker. It broke at our place. The apprentice let us know. He wasn't even in the office. He sort of went, and we've got a Liverpool fan in our team. He's on the wind up. He's on the absolute wind up on a Friday afternoon as well. He's come with this, and then the phone started going ding, 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 ding. It was like, whoa, massive news. So go on then, Joshua. Before we'll let you go, because I've let you do some hosting here. It wasn't the plan. You were supposed to have the night off, but What's your manager plan? Because I know you're an Alonso fan, but I think we both discussed it's early, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's what scares me. There's no clear person that plays. Nobody's going to play the same style, and I accept that. There's going to have to be changes, but there's nobody there that has a direct correlation that's ready to go right now. Like we said offline, I mean, for me, Alonso, if it was 2026, he had done a full season at Leverkusen, that would be nice. But if he had done something for more than one season, that would be nice. Although I did hear, I've listened to a lot since, and there's been a couple of people that spent time with him and said, he spent 10 years training, getting his coaches, badges. If you look at where he's been at Liverpool under Rafa. He was at Real Madrid. I can't remember the manager he was under at Real Madrid, but they don't do bad managers at Real Madrid. He went to Bayern Munich under Pep, and then he's been learning these people who's at Real Madrid's youth side. Then he's been at Real Sociedad, two of their teams before he's come to Leverkusen. So it's alleviated a little bit, but. In an ideal world, I said this to Sam, I was going to tweet this out, but then I thought people would go absolutely mental because there's an Everton connection in there. But my thought, logically, in an ideal world,
David
yeah, because he does really well taking after big managers. He's got the record for it. But if I could move managers perfectly, I would say Don Carlo, stuff off Real Madrid, give us 2 years at Liverpool. Because he's such a good manager. He's so good, and he's really smooth. And I think his composure, I think, would be right for a team that is going through quite a deep integrated change. And if he could come and do that 2 years, because he's like 63, so he ain't going to want to be there for the long haul. And then that would hopefully give Alonso enough time to prove himself and him to sweep in. I've got to be honest, that's not going to happen, though, by the way. I know that. And I think if an Everton manager ended up coming, he'd go mad. Sam Allardyce, I think if he still has those Saudi connections, I reckon, that could bode well with him. But I think I've got to be the thing that confused me, De Zerbi. I don't get that one. I don't understand what a man who's doing all right at Brighton, it doesn't. Charlotte 16, the ball boy. Yeah, I know. Well, that's what I thought. He could do 2 years, 65. That's retirement age in the UK. Then he can get he'll be able to qualify for his pension, won't he? But I don't get De Zerbi. Really don't confuse me. James Milner's 50-1. Not sure if anybody's seen that.
Potentially. Oh, so actually, I think Southgate's 50-1. I'm pretty sure you'd take Milner over Southgate. No,
do you know what? I would rather peel the skin off my face and dive into a vat of vinegar than have Southgate manage my team. Honestly, I would rather mutilate myself.
That's going to be on your t-shirt.
Yeah, that would be one of the worst decisions. I'd take Warnock over Southgate any day of the week, and I'd love him. He's a hero. But no Southgate for me. I don't get De Zerbi. I've seen Julian Nagelsmann, or Nagelsmann, depending how you want to pronounce it. Which he's still a bit like Alonso for me.
The Bayern thing didn't go well, did it, with him either?
No, and but I don't know whether that's just because it's Bayern, and Bayern are falling out with Tuchel. And he's doing really well. Ironically, he's just behind because of Leverkusen. I think surely see in the chat, Ollie's available. Again,
get your will ready. Ollie's
again,
ready.
I'm going to get that potato peel out of my vat of vinegar. But the worrying thing is, I think the only logical move is to try and get Alonso in. That's the only logical move that I can see. As Dan said, I love Steven Gerrard, and Sam, you know my love for Stevie G. You know, I would let him coat me in cocoa butter if that was something that would bring joy into his life. But I would have to draw the line at him managing Liverpool at this point in time. You know,
is that cocoa button before or after?
I was going to say I was just having to test my my headset then, because I was expecting like a. Just sort of at the back of that, like the image was there.
I'd let him have a good go, but not manage my team. But so logically, it has to be. I don't know where else you go. Than Xavi Alonso. It's just like you said, Sam. It's a touch too soon. His style of football is vastly different. But I mean, it makes sense why we bought no players who've been linked to anyone in January. But
you're kind of going to have to do something different to Klopp anyway, because he's such an enigma, and as it is, you can't recreate that. So they might have to do something, and somebody that could build, they may need to accept. And if the fans are prepared to accept that there's going to be a period of settling in and doing it, then
that's why it might be safe bet, because he's going to have that back in already of being devilishly attractive for a start, but being a sort of almost like a cult legend in the club, so he'll have that credit in the bank perhaps, and people are going to. I think as fans, speaking for myself as a Liverpool fan, I would give, as long as we didn't drop, and where I think we're sure. Simon said about comparing it to Man United when Ferguson left. I think that the biggest difference, when Ferguson left, you could see the team was on the wane. The team was massively down there, and you won that league because Fergie's just a force. He's just the greatest manager there's ever been, and no one will top what he did at United. And how he won the league with that team, by the way, was just didn't get out at all, because they were atrocious. It's an awful, man. One of the worst squads I've seen.
Robin van Persie, that's the reason. That's the only reason that season.
But yeah, so it's not the same as that. So you have got a good standing point as an elite club with a lot of elite players. You'll get some Salah money in, probably. You might get some Virgil van Dijk money. The FSG structure, that's the biggest nervousness, because I think people will see it's always been one in, one out. Always, because all of this crap, you spent £1 billion. You didn't. He averaged about 50 million a season over 8 seasons. That's what he's actually spent, because he's had to be one in, one out, because we're a profitable club, frustratingly. But it's got. If he's going to have that time, Xavi will get that time. He'll get that love, and that all the cuddles from people, and people will appreciate that sort of build-up period. A bit like Arteta at Arsenal, in them first couple of seasons, you'll get that grace. And then you'll see, well, as long as we don't fall, below sort of 5th or 6th, I think people will give him that time.
He's going to need it. He's going to need it. Hello to Heather. Heather's joining us in the chat as well, and say, you've done very well, Josh, to give us your feelings, to remain calm, to keep.
I've only broken down twice.
It's only twice, so it's good for a normal conversation on here. You've done well.
If anybody knows me, watching a Disney film, I break down. So it was something that impactful. Only to go twice, I think, is really good.
It can be 2, but I did prepare because I've never had this opportunity before. As I was hosting you, I've never hosted you, to give you a limerick, to give you one of my introductory limericks. So I'll let you go out on a limerick that I produced just for you. So, Josh has cried many tears over Klopp. We've been worried if they would ever stop. So he's jumped in for a bit because Jurgen has quit before his floods of tears drenched the cop. There you go. Thank you for joining us. Please leave your internet on, or I'll be disappearing as well.
It was worth it just for that. I shall minimize yourself, but thank you, everybody. Have an excellent show. And you're in safe hands, the safest of safe hands.
God bless.
Take care, Josh.
Take it easy, mate. God bless. And there we go. Right, no more Liverpool. Liverpool is done. We are done with Liverpool tonight.
Oh God, I didn't want to be disrespectful, but I was like, come on now, Josh. You're taking up half the show.
Hannah was thinking, Sam's hosting, I'm on. Well, this is fine because we're just going to be talking United.
They won.
Exactly. The 1 week we win and we're both on, and bloody Jurgen Klopp steals the limelight. Can you believe it? I mean, it was only Newport County, but we take what we can get this season. We take it all. We take it all. So, yeah, that's done. Obviously, there was no other Premier League football. It's coming up this week, which I just realised today. So, panicking, sorting my dream team out later. But there is midweek football this week. There was FA Cup. The FA Cup was this week. So, we're going to turn absolutely Premier League into an FA Cup. And so, we'll come to you, Hannah. We will have a bit of Manchester United time. And then we'll go on to Dan can help us with that shocking, unbelievable underdog story at Maidstone. We'll come on to that if there's anyone in the chat I know wants to talk about Maidstone. So, Hannah, Manchester United 4, Newport 2. Ooh, it's lovely, wasn't it?
I was laughing because I think 20 minutes in I tweeted, great, we can rest legs in the second half. It was just... I said it wasn't going to be easy. Like we can't disrespect these teams no matter what league they're in. Any team that gets the chance to play Manchester United at home, especially in a ground like that, was going to go full on. And to be fair, and they gave us a game. I was having kittens. I wasn't the first 20 minutes. I was like, brilliant. It's going to be 7-0, like cruising, absolutely fine. Their first goal was a worldie. Like it was really annoying because I was so rooting for Binder to have a clean sheet on his debut, and that would have been my favourite thing that happened yesterday if we won. But it was a great goal, and there was no saving that. Like that just came from nowhere. And then their second goal straight after half time, I was just sat there and I was like, "There's no way we're going to bottle a 2-0 lead to, a lower league team." And like I said, they did bring it, but obviously then we went and got the third and the fourth. And I think it was nice yesterday from a perspective for us that it was 4 different goal scorers. You got a Kobbie Mainoo first ever senior goal. You got Højlund on the score sheet, so he's now scored in the Prem, the FA Cup, and the Champions League. So it was like the small wins yesterday. Through to the next round at the end of the day. A win is a win, as I said, but it was embarrassing to be, kind of on tenterhooks 2-2. I was like, how did it get to that point? But yeah, it was all in all, it was an entertaining game. I bet for the neutral, like Dan, you'll be able to say this, I bet for the neutral it was like a great watch.
Yeah, it weren't too bad. It weren't too bad. Like I said, I've got 2 United fans at work who were watching it, so I'd kept popping round and having a look, and just seeing their emotions go all over the place, like, how are we losing this? Throwing stuff around near enough in the kitchen, and you're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's Newport, it's bloody Newport. And then just got walking around with a bit of a sweat. Yeah, we won 4-2. I went, yeah, you played Newport, mate. Calm down. But the thing is, like you said there, a win is a win, and you're into the hat. So
It's the sort of game,
Why
to
not?
be honest, as a supporter of United, of a team in that kind of cup position, and I love the FA Cup and I love the underdog story, and so I could get behind it even with Newport, but it is just there's no glory in it. You're not really, you can't really win. You just kind of need to get through and kind of just not do yourself kind of a disservice in the way that you're kind of doing it. I think as well, we had a strong side out. And same as you, Hannah, we don't trust this team, so I wasn't convinced that for 100% that we would go out and do what was needed. And I think to be 2-0 up in a tie like that is trying to take the sting out of it, to take the sting out of the crowd, and to do it. And the fact that they did that, I missed the first 15 minutes. I listened to it on the radio on the way back from tennis, so I was feeling all right. I was feeling same as quite calm, and then I watched it when I got back, and that's when we started to sort of turn a bit. And fair play to Newport. I mean, they worked superbly hard at it. I mean, the first goal was a strike, was no keeper save in that. It took a slight deflection, but it was a hell of a strike. And from their perspective, a good team goal for the second. From a United perspective, defensively horrendous. Our fullbacks just don't want to deal with crosses. Full stop. I mean, it drives me nuts every week the amount of crosses that go in the box. Just get out to your man. Dallo was leaving it to Garnacho. Terrible. But I think, say, from a Newport doing what they did was really, really respectful for them. So in the chat, obviously, Mr. Luke wanted Newport to win. Shawnee, Newport showed absolute fight, which I loved. Can definitely appreciate that. And say, and also, I didn't like the Ten Hag interview afterwards. I didn't like the way he spoke. I don't think that was... I think... I was trying to work out why, and I just think he's under so much pressure and he's got so used to being defensive. He was just defending, wasn't he? I mean, did you think? What did you think of the interview?
I think I completely agree with you. Like, I am at the point now where I don't know what I want to happen with him, but I do think what he said was wrong. But I do think, like, when it went 2-2, like, all you could hear was the crowd, like, sacked in the morning. And like, it's funny, but it's not actually, like, how stressful. I know he took it on, but how stressful that job must be when you've fielded your best 11. And as a manager, yes, you're the coach. Yes, you're doing the formations, the tactics, everything. I understand that. But there is a point where it does also fall on the players. And it's happened so many times this season. Like, he's actually coached a really, strong team, strong tactics. And then one player's decided to throw his hands up and be lazy. And it's just one person can, like, let the whole team down. And I was saying yesterday, like, when the lineup came out, I was actually really happy that he fielded our best 11. I think we needed to win that game. Like, it's our only cup really that we're going to win this season if we're in the contention for anything. And I was really happy because we had Shaw back, Martinez back, Casemiro back, and this for me was like the perfect game for them to get some minutes back and like put in a solid performance. And I can't say Casemiro is incredible, but I thought Shaw and Martinez, apart from that deflection from Martinez yesterday, like, they were brilliant. Like, we've missed Luke Shaw so much, and he gets so much unnecessary slander. But we've missed him, and it's just, I think it was a good opportunity yesterday for those players to, like, get a few minutes on the scoreboard, on the board. Like I say, Kobbie Mainoo goal, I'm not his biggest fan at all. In fact, I want him to be sold, but an Anthony goal and assist, like, these things are never going to be bad for players' confidence. And you can say it's only Newport, but you can only score, like, who's in front of you. And if Anthony's level is Newport, so be it. Like, we all know his pants, but first goal in 9 months, it's shocking for a winger, but it's going to boost their confidence even a little bit. It's not going to do any bad for the team as a whole. So I agree with you, Sam, about, like, Ten Hag's comments, but the man is under such pressure. And the thing is, Ineos have come in, like, he'll know that I don't want this to happen. I mean, I think it'll get to the point where it probably should, but he's probably not going to be here next season, and he probably knows that. And the results that he gets now depends on that. If he turns it around and gets amazing results, he'll stay, and he knows that. So I do feel bad for him, and I know no one else will, but I can't help it. It's my club. I like Ten Hag. He came in and did what he did last season. So to see him kind of, like you say, Sam, he's just so defensive, and they were poking him about Rashford. What's happening? Like, it's just like, shut up. And that is part of being one of the biggest clubs in the world. We're so heavily scrutinized for everything. Like, I won't go into it, but I was saying before, like this interview that Kyle Walker's done. I'm sorry, if that was Marcus Rashford, he would it would just be never ending. And I've not actually seen that much about it. And a football player's gone to the Sun to talk about his affair, and it's like, if that was a United player, and I don't want to be that fan that goes, if that was a United player, blah blah blah. But it's frustrating sometimes to just see, oh, United is shit. Like, look at the changes we're going under. So I'm excited about the summer. Like, we're not doing any business in January, are we, Sam? That's not going to happen.
No.
But that means a big summer. Like, hopefully.
Hopefully they're stabilising it, aren't they? And I think you're right. I see this as like a probation period for Ten Hag, but it's kind of like, I'm the same as you. I don't want a manager to be sacked, or you don't want to, but I cannot see the plan, where we're going. The players he's brought in aren't performing. There's clearly issues culturally, and some of that's the players as well. But the whole thing is pretty nasty. It's not really working out. So Graham says, it's a no win for United. They won. It's only Newport. If you lost or drawn, you couldn't be Newport. It is tough. I wasn't looking forward to this one, because if it wasn't Newport, it was going to be Eastleigh, which is my local team. I drove past it going to work. So if this was Eastleigh, I'd have had to move. I think there was no way I was sticking around here for that. Been absolutely crucified. And I think, Jen says, and this is a fair point, I give this air as well, I hate the narrative of it's Newport. Just because they're a few leagues down doesn't mean they're on a good team. And I think they performed well above their level. There's a couple of players there. I thought the striker in particular, Evans, was a handful, a real handful. He's going to be in
the Premier League soon. He's a talent, and
he was a good player.
For me, like, I'll be honest, I don't watch the lower league, so I love the FA Cup. I love all the underdog stories. And if I wasn't a United fan, I'd have been like, woohoo, when Newport, went 2-2 to us. So it's a great competition, and it's nice to just be a part of it. And obviously we got to the final last year, so who knows?
It gives everybody that hope, and we'll give, because Kieran joined us on the lower league last week. He is a Newport fan, so I'm sure he's very proud of how his team performed yesterday, and they did amply well. And you say a couple of goals to cheer as well. That's what you can ask. As a Newport fan, it hurt people saying that yes, we're not Liverpool, we're a solid football team. We did really well. Yeah, I mean, this is the great thing, is it's a showcase for those teams, as you say, people who don't always watch lower league football, don't see it. Obviously, not on the telly, and people get drawn in by the Premier League to get an opportunity to watch some of these teams, and not just, they might not play exactly the same brand of football of the Premier League, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so we're going to come on to Maidstone in a minute, and you set it up and you play, and they played very well. They're an effective team. And some of the games that I did see where you had higher league opposition versus lower, kind of had them camped in the box, and Newport weren't doing that. There were periods of play they played really well against us, and say at 2-2, we were wobbling. There was definitely some wobbles, and you thought they could do. You could do the business.
Like again, Sam.
Oh God!
Like, we've seen 2-2 before, and like seen on Twitter, we're not going to bottle a 2-0 lead, and then it was like, we've seen this before.
It comes to something that, watching United under Solskjaer, you're almost wanting to go 1-0 down because it was better, and now like 2-0 up, I'm scared of 2-0 up, because I'm just like, we can't see this through. We really can't see this through.
Like, this is the other thing that winds me up, because it's been a habit all season. Like, there's absolutely no way in hell Erik ten Hag says to the players, right, get a solid lead, go 2-0 up, and then just sit back and relax. Like, he will be saying to them, you need to go for 3, you need to go for 4. Like, so this is the part where it actually, you have to look at the players' mentalities, and it's weak. Like, you saw yesterday, like, they're just like huffing and puffing, like when, Newport score, and it's like, bro, like, you're a Premier League player. What are you doing?
A lot of them probably seem to think, though, as well, that they're so used to teams, without disrespect, using the word minnows, but that they're just going to sit back, throw 11 men behind the ball and just get peppered with efforts throughout 90 minutes. But now teams are like, you know what? No, we're going to go there. We're going to showcase who we are, what we are, and whether we get beat, but we've put in a spirited performance, and people go, wow, you know what? Newport gave them a game. They'd rather have that accolade than, Newport just, set themselves up for a downfall, hoping for a one counter-attack opportunity, etc. So the media is always going to put a spin on things, but either way, good, fair play to him for actually coming out and thinking, sod it, I'll give him a game.
100%, and they did that, and like I say, you know, as a Newport fan, I'd be so proud, and it must have been like such a cool evening for them. So it's just nice to see it. And did you see like all the fans like sat on the scaffolding?
It's
What
nice,
an
isn't it?
experience. Like, it's so cute. I
It's
love
so
it.
good and does give that opportunity to see those grounds, to see those local teams and they play. And so what it means, I mean, see Kieran saying in the chat, he said could have cried yesterday, was that proud. Will Evans on his way to the championships at the bare minimum. So if you're playing a League Two team as a Premier League giant, you don't want it to be Newport. We've beaten big clubs before and proper close yesterday for times. And so, yeah, I mean, they didn't really lose to me. I think you know, the way that they performed, they come out with their heads beyond well held high, and everybody has got a lot of respect and puts their name in people's mouths and will be looking out for what Newport do. I think it's, yeah, he says, I feel United underestimated yesterday, especially after getting 2-0 up. They just became really lazy and arguably disrespectful to a degree. That's just the team, to be honest, Kieran, in general. The team, that doesn't surprise me. This is every week we see them switch off and just kind of just saunter around a little bit and lose the way they play. It's a general occurrence. But of course, there are other matches in the FA Cup as well. We talked about underdogs and we talked about upsets. And then, Dan, there was Ipswich flying high in the Championship up against Maidstone United of the 6th tier. Wow. 24 to 1 it was, because I had it on an underdog accumulator and got really excited that the first one came in and then realised I needed like another 5. That was silly. But Maidstone United, Dan. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, what a story. What a story. George Corby, the former Wolves left back, has done such a remarkable job at Maidstone. Like you say, the National League South club, 98 places, I believe, below Ipswich. So to become the first team outside of the top 5 tiers to progress to the, is it 5th round next?
Yep.
Obviously. Yeah. So, you know, I think Blyth Spartans did it in 1978. But it's just the whole day out for them. I mean, I saw videos online where the manager was stood outside the stadium with Maidstone fans, with the players stood behind him saying, you know what, whatever happens today, enjoy the day out, enjoy the stadium. There's players here that may never play in a stadium like this again. There's players that may go on and do, you know, big things. He says, but what I want you to do is just sing your hearts out for 90 minutes, back them, and we'll do what we can. And it's such, you can see that sort of community feel about them, that they just, the players and the fans, it's almost like you're playing against a full, you know, town or city, whatever. You're not just playing against 11 men on a field. So that performance, especially against an Ipswich side who are absolutely romping in the Championship this season, let's not forget that. They're not just coming up against a Championship team. They're coming up against a Championship team that's trying to get themselves into the Premier League. And they've been distant from that for many a year. So I think Ipswich were probably the better side of the two, to be honest, in the start. I think they'd hit the woodwork 3 times in the first half. But, you know, Maidstone just did what they did, done what they've done. They don't care who they're coming up against. They took the lead, and then, you know, Ipswich equalised. At that point, they probably thought, here we go. You know, let's just enjoy the day out. And then I think it was Sam Clone or Corn or however his name is. Either way, it's always good to see a Sam on the score sheet, isn't it? So yeah, obviously pops up with a winner, and what a moment for those Maidstone United fans. However, one Maidstone United fan might have celebrated a little bit too hard.
So funny.
I mean, going completely over the top of the stand and into the Ipswich fans below must have been, you know, I mean, he's probably walking around now, ego bruised, but absolutely just like, I've got a story to tell. I was there when we beat Ipswich, made the 5th round of the FA Cup, and I unexpectedly cuddled a few Ipswich fans on my way down. Like, it's just, what a
FA
day out
Cup
for them.
story. Exactly.
It is.
FA Cup
It
story.
is. These are the games that we want. These are the games that we want on TV. We don't want your Chelsea against Liverpool, or, you know, we get that. We get that with the Premier League and stuff. Give these smaller teams, you know, show us that FA Cup shock. That's what we want to see. That's why the FA Cup has so much magic about it, more than the Carabao Cup. Not disrespecting the Carabao Cup, by the way, but obviously the FA Cup does have its magic that it likes to bring. And when you see these results crop up, it's amazing. And to be honest, I'm one that abides by the rules of Gandhi. I never back the early kickoff, but this one I was glad I did.
It was a belter to watch. I say a million miles better than the Manchester City versus Tottenham game the previous night, which was just nothing in comparison. This was everything. You say 38 shots to 2 that they had, 38 shots to 2. It was proper. I mean, not only that, the finishing was something else. I mean, that guy's not scored all season. The bloke who scored the little dinky chip, that was just absolutely insane. It's just the magic of the cup was well on shot. I can't show this because this was killing me in the behind. Shah's clearly trying to say something to say some of their backroom staff eat, apparently.
I'm glad they do.
Some buzzing for them. Some of their backroom staff also eat. So she's going to tell us. And then my fat thumbs won't let me type. And then I think it's some of their backroom staff watch our lower league show is what she was trying to get. So that's brilliant. That's fantastic. And as such, I'm sure that we will talk about Maidstone again on the lower league show. But
I'm glad they eat those, Shah. That's great news.
Yes, great news. Maidstone backroom staff get to eat. So that's the result of this FA Cup.
Hey, they'll definitely be eating like kings now, though. I think you get something like £230,000 in prize money now.
I thought I'd heard like 400 grand or something for the fourth round alone. So the fifth round.
I think I read something on Sky Sports. They said they banked over 230k in prize money. So I don't know whether that's just prize money, whether Ipswich will have said have a ticket sort of thing on top and stuff like that. But
it's massive, and say a club like that, because a lot of teams, because they came down from National League last year, and a lot of teams that find themselves in that National League North and South have had financial issues, or they've had shocking owners that have run the club into the ground, and something like this sets them up for 5-10 years. This is maybe the start for them to work their way back to maybe work into the Football League so far. So Jen's saying they've earned 460k so far. I mean, that's crazy. Graham says maybe they eat whilst watching. Maybe they do. That's a good combination with football, I find. So it was brilliant. Fantastic finishing from then. So Maidstone to get through, and they've Sheffield Wednesday or Coventry, isn't it, in round 5? So so it's still big teams, but I did wish that they would get a Premier League big boy.
That's it, though. They can go into any single game now with no fear whatsoever. They'd be like, right, well, we've done it once. Let's not just upset the apple cart and do it again. I mean, I don't think anybody has, low down the pecking order, not disrespectfully, have made the quarterfinals. I think that would be huge, absolutely huge. I mean, probably Lincoln a good few years ago, but I think even then they were League 2.
I think Lincoln. I think they made it when they were in the National League, didn't they? I think Lincoln.
I know they knocked us out.
Yeah, they had double cup.
That's
big. Of course, one of the biggest teams that they could possibly knock out. They're knocking Burnley out for sure. We'll go to the chat. Simon says that they'll get some gate money off the FA Cup rule. I say Josh is praying for the Big Sky Blues. That would be fantastic. And Mr. And Shah's only jealous because she can't eat at the moment with a sore throat. Get well soon, Shah. Get well soon. So that was a great result. Elsewhere, we had Luton beat Everton. He's mentioned about Man City, Newcastle. And there was, did you hear, the one sad one of the weekend was the West Brom Wolves game I want to touch on quickly.
That was mental.
What on earth is wrong with people still? Just like...
Was it a Wolves fan in the West Brom end? Because did you see the pictures of him?
Yeah.
Utterly insane.
Utterly just
it's not
ridiculous.
Even just that though. I mean, the whole aura around that game. I mean, they used to play each other, every single season, and then it's got to a point where there's been a little bit of distance between the two sides. Wolves have obviously been the dominant force in the Midlands. Birmingham have now got a bit of money, but they're trying to still sort this stuff out. And West Brom have yo-yoed. So, the Midlands has got three teams there that aren't all that bad, really. For me, I think it takes you back to the ugly times of football, and I'm talking back when we were kids, and you get told stories that football was ugly, that people meet up for fights and all this stuff. Like I say, you see that fan on the pitch with his head completely covered in blood. and they're all singing "Let him die, let him die," and you just think that's all you can hear the fans singing. Like at first, I was trying to work it out, but when you say "Let him die," I'm like, all right, that's what they're saying. I thought they were asking for a Lindor or something at first, but I didn't know what they were on about.
It's mad.
It's a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs when you can't go to a football match and not come home. I mean, if Hillsborough was massive, the Bradford Fire, etc. We've had all these, things happen, incidents, but stuff like that just puts life into perspective. That there's a lot of shit going on in the world right now. So just because of who you support shouldn't determine whether you go home or not.
Yeah, 100%. Mr. Luke saying it is ridiculous. Simon saying it's effing disgraceful. Yeah, absolutely agree. Heather saying madness. Jen saying, I'll just pull this one up here. There we go. Oh, no, it's back again. I think we should do a proof of purchase history for buying a ticket. It was only asking for chaos. Kids are in the crowd as well. Players they said that they had to get the referee. I mean, I think the referee did quite well. He got the players off and said, "Look, we've got to calm this down." But then the players, it was near the family enclosure, so a lot of the players' families and their children were there. So,
I think there was. I think one of the West Brom players actually ran into the crowd to pick his kids up, and then took them away. Which fair play to him. He's ran in the midst of it, took his kids away from it.
And kids are there, you would, wouldn't you? You know,
yeah, of course you would. Of course you would. I mean, we've had similar trouble recently. I think we had trouble against Everton when we played them. There was 2 Everton fans that managed to sneak in to the tunnel and into Vincent Kompany's after-match room where he goes with other managers. And to be honest, they didn't bump into Vincent Kompany. They bumped into Craig Bellamy. So they probably got lynched out. And then 3 of them managed to get into one of the boxes and start with corporate people, and it started a bit of a riot in there. So Everton are dealing with that. Burnley have been looking into how they can deal with the situation, but it shouldn't get like that. It shouldn't get like that. There's point systems and all sorts put in place for supporters now because of this. And if anything, it penalises the younger fans coming through. It's just stupid. It's just absolute lunatics.
It's mad. And they'd moved it to an 11:30 kickoff to try and help appease
that.
Yeah.
So let's not drink enough. You can't drink enough and all that stuff.
But the rumours was that some of the pubs opened even earlier to account for it. So it just defeated the bloody object of it. So.
Welcome to Birmingham. Welcome to Birmingham. I'm now no longer welcome there, as you can tell.
So just unbelievable, unbelievably bonkers. And so we'll go one more before we sort of then go to Premier League, because I know Hannah unfortunately has to leave us very soon. Hannah's got to earn the dough. Got to earn the dough. It's the working life.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about
It's not a problem. And so the only other bit, there's two other notes I wanted to touch on was one, Brighton in their victory. João Pedro's penalty is now his 10th penalty he scored already this season. I didn't realise that. 10 penalties João Pedro's had, and we're only in January, which is more than anyone else in the top leagues. That was one bit. And the other was, we'll finish on a nice Jurgen Klopp story for Josh. The last one, the promise of the evening, that Klopp, Liverpool versus Norwich, Klopp actually defeated David Wagner, who was the best man at his wedding. Was the opposing manager.
No way.
So,
I didn't know that. Wow.
There you go. So
wasn't he his number 2 at Dortmund or something?
I think they worked together, maybe at Dortmund or Mainz, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had a mention to Bournemouth 5-0. Like, didn't they go like 3-0 up in was it 15 minutes? That was a crazy game. But Bournemouth are forced to be reckoned with at the moment.
They are indeed. They're playing very, very well. And we'll bring up the fixtures very quickly if I can find it, because my computer was going my preparation is non-existent because it's all disappeared when I had to restart my computer. So I'm just getting up here very quickly before Hannah has to leave us, so we can show the fixtures that are coming up, because we've got some big fixtures because it's midweek football. So we've got it just on the way back, Premier League. So in terms of matches, we've got Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal. We've got Fulham versus Everton. Luton at home to Brighton. We've got, I can't even see the screen. Let me get that bigger. That's better. Oh, easy 3 points for Dan away at Manchester City.
Yeah. It'll be like my football bets. I'll put it on at just before 3 o'clock, and then they're all shit by 10 past.
Oh,
And
mate.
Oh dear.
It's one of those cliche games, isn't it? Free hit.
It's a free hit. You never
It's
know.
all right, Sam. Speaking of free hits, we're there in a month. Like, that's a good day.
my birthday again, literally.
Is it?
Yeah, every weekend, I had a look, the last 7 or 8 years, we've had Manchester City or Liverpool on or around my birthday. It must be something about that weekend, and in recent times, that's been hideous, particularly last season. Last season, my birthday was the day after 7-0 to Liverpool.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And then I had to come on here as well and face Liverpool and Josh and everything. So it was.
So birthday drinks had a completely different reason.
I did, and Manchester City this weekend as well. Dear, oh dear. So yes, so that's there's the Premier League fixtures, and we will say we'll give Hannah a goodbye now because she does have to move on and go. So thank you very much, Hannah. Where can everybody find you? Sorry, I missed the start. We will have a full podcast together soon.
We need Hannah's limerick.
Oh, that's true.
No. Only hosts get that, Dan. Like,
no, Dan is absolutely right. It's a good one.
I've got one.
You've got one. I've done you one. Yeah, I do. Yeah, everyone's getting an intro one, but everyone's getting exit limericks today. So, for her thoughts on United, it's Hannah's. Glazers out written on all of her banners. There's nobody grander and there's no Bruno slander. So you Twitter trolls, mind your damn manners. There we go.
Hey. Thank you, Sam. That's great. That's going to go on my t-shirt. That's going to be it.
That's the one. No Bruno slander is definitely your t-shirt, I think.
No Bruno slander. But yeah, just on Twitter, if you want to follow me, it's just what my name is in this little box. I always do that wrong. I can't do it. There we go. At United Hands. If you want to see me call out adulterers and sexism and just the occasional like great United take, then give me a follow. But yeah, I hope you all have a great Monday and thank you for having me. And I'll leave you in the very, very great hands of Sam and Dan. But thank you.
Magic. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you so much. Have a good one. See ya. And then there was 2. We're dropping like flies through this podcast. It's been substitutions and all sorts.
I'm still in the Premier League. Yay, Bertie's still here. Get in.
It's the 5-sub rule we've got. We can come in and we come out. I haven't even mentioned that I gave you the purple background today. That's all for you, Dan. That's as close to claret as I could get it for you, see?
Love it.
There we go. So what else have we got on these fixtures? Anything? Liverpool-Chelsea. Liverpool-Chelsea is an interesting one. Obviously, now that'll be the first Premier League game at Anfield for Klopp. You've got West Ham-Bournemouth, I think, is quite intriguing because Bournemouth have been playing well. West Ham have been a bit sticky. I think I heard Kudus is back because Ghana got knocked out of the AFCON. So they've missed some players big time, West Ham, in the last few weeks. I think Lucas Paquetá's almost back as well. So that could be interesting. And I don't know about you, but Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United might end up being, because they're all over the place, Palace. Are they ones that, obviously, you're looking at it from who can you drag in? A Palace one of the ones you're hoping you can drag into a dogfight?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at anyone from around 14th, probably like Brentford, Palace, Forest, Everton. Obviously, I know there's a few that, points-wise, there could be some deductions going around sometime soon. Who knows? Not that I want to stay up on the technicality of other teams. We're not Aston Villa. But yeah, it'd be nice to it would be nice to have a bit more of an open, book so that we can, at least if we do get some results, get out of the mire.
And so you're looking at Palace, you're looking at Forest. Brentford, I think Ivan Toney back, I think now is going to make things difficult already.
That was stupid, weren't it? That was the thing is, I don't get that playing Undertaker music, right? Just for some guy who's come back from betting. I'm like, wow. Like, why don't Sky Bet play that every time I load the app up after a dog shit week the week before?
Just shocking. Look at your account.
Yeah,
that you're back in the deposit bit.
Your profit is -0. Oh, right.
Play the Undertaker theme. So some classics. You've got Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Of course, the reverse of that, Newcastle spanked them up at St James's Park 5-1. So they'll be looking for something. But they've been a little bit hit and miss recently. Villa as well, not quite on the same form that they were prior. So we're entering a really interesting phase, I think, of the season. So really, really excited. Any other games to point at that before we start going around the European leagues?
I think the Luton Brighton one for me is quite a big one. Luton at home, always pretty decent and solid. Luton again. I was on a City podcast before I started on here, and they said what's gone wrong for Burnley this year, and I said how we've gone up with people expecting things of us, where we've been the Luton, where we've come up and no expectation on your shoulders. You're the underdogs, you're the whipping boys, and you just go about your business. So that's got every potential to be a coupon buster. That one, I think, again, unless Brighton get another 2 penalties and João Pedro's in fine form, then who knows? But you said there that Palace, again, so hit and miss. And Villa will be looking for revenge.
Yeah, going to be some intriguing ones for sure. And Luton have been playing well. Brighton have been sticky to beat. There's only one loss there, isn't there, in the last 6? And they looked a little bit free flowing. I think they've got some players on the verge of coming back. So yeah, Brighton.
What do you think about going to Molineux? What do you think about that?
I don't like going anywhere at the minute, to be honest with you, mate. There's Newport was scaring the life out of me last week, so Molineux isn't much better. I don't like the fact Pedro Neto's back, because I think he's fantastic. I think Pedro Neto for me is one of those I would certainly have on my list of radar for who I'd be going after in the summer if I was anybody in the top half, 100%. He scored a really good goal in the FA Cup as well, didn't he? Difficult, because I think they felt really hard done by in that first game. If you remember, it was when Onana came out and absolutely smashed through somebody in game number 1, and we got out of that one 1-0 and didn't deserve a thing, to be honest. So I think they're going to be up for it, and I just don't away from home in particular. I don't know mentally we're great at dealing with. Oh, Charlotte, no, not Big Craig Dawson as well. Big Craig Dawson too. Everywhere, everybody's there.
That name haunts me because for about 6 seasons, Burnley were after Craig Dawson from Rochdale. Craig Dawson from Rochdale is linked again. Craig Dawson linked to Burnley again, and then he goes and plays for another team in Claret and Blue.
There you go. Maybe one day. He may have one big move in his career yet to come. You never know.
If we were under Dash, then maybe, when he's about 42 and on less legs.
He is. And Shah said he had Haaland in his pocket. He did. He absolutely pocketed Haaland that day. He was brilliant. Elsewhere in the chat, we've got Sean. He wants to come on. Brentford beat the empty trophy cabinet holder. Tottenham at the FA Cup as well. So that looks like that's going another season. And Heathers and Matoma's still at point. I think he is, but I think there's 1 or 2 that aren't that far away from coming back. So Matoma's out. I think is Solly March still out as well. They seem to have had a lot of injuries this season, Brighton. So, we'll see how that all plays out. So, exciting stuff. We're going to go around Europe, which will be interesting because I haven't really seen too much what's happened around Europe. I've done a little bit on the Liga, but not a lot. To be honest, the main talking point at the moment in La Liga. So, Real Madrid and Girona both won this weekend. So, they kind of keep pace at the top. Madrid had to come from a goal down with goals from Vinicius Jr. and Tchouameni at Las Palmas. And Girona got a 1-0 victory themselves. So they maintain it. Barcelona, you'll see, has dropped to 4th. And Xavi tried to follow the Jurgen Klopp route, didn't he? With his announcement the other day. So Xavi, if you haven't heard, has announced he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. I don't think it's quite the same situation as Klopp, because Barcelona have been in free fall. There's been in talks of all sorts of issues. I think the goals conceded so far this season, or some sort of stat, is the worst since the 60s or something bonkers about Barcelona. They have been absolutely all over the place. They lost 5-3 at the weekend to Villarreal, who scored twice in stoppage time to secure that at the Nou Camp as well. It just hasn't worked out at all this season for Xavi. I don't know if you saw any of the Real Madrid, was it the Super Cup of the other week? They were so open. It was just suicidal football. Yeah. It was like he was trying to play the Barcelona old school style, but without anybody that could play the system against ridiculously fast attacking wingers. It was just absolutely mad. So, yes, Xavi, I think it's walk before you're pushed, isn't it, Dan? I think it's not. Yeah. It's almost like go out before, whatever happens this season, whatever. He still goes down as a hero for what he achieved with Barcelona. Him, yeah, of course he is. I want to see Girona go on and win it. Somebody different. It'd be massive, absolutely massive. But
Madrid are in real form, shall we say?
Way, they are the real deal.
So it's if Girona can keep on top of what they're doing and keep grinding out those 1-0 wins, then who knows?
It could happen. It could happen. And Madrid are going to breathe them down all the way, you'd think. And it's going to be a tough one, I think, to hold on to with that Madrid side coming at them. But so far, Girona are still well and truly in the race. Now, we're going to go around Europe. I don't have anything from Serie A from Lucas this week, so I'm just going to try and read out some of the results and see what the impacts of those were. We've got Genoa beat Shah's favourite team. It's become Shah's favourite hashtag. It's the merch when it's coming. Lecce were beaten 2-1 by Genoa, as pronounced by Shah. So the main thing is they stay in Serie A. I'm now worried that they're going to get relegated because, what'll happen is we'll end up getting some T-shirts and then they'll be in Serie B and we'll have to bloody cover that next season as well. So Lecce stay in Serie A this season. Elsewhere, Monza beat Sassuolo, Verona drawing with Frosinone, Lazio and Napoli, 0-0s, I hate 0-0s, no fun at all. I even put my Napoli shirt on and it said bloody 0-0. Unbelievable. And they're having a shocker this season. I mean, champions last season down in 9th. It's just nothing's happening at all. I think Lucas said their star man last season, Special K's looking like a bit of a one-hit wonder. It's not really worked out for them this season.
You know what Napoli remind me of? Liverpool a little bit. Like they threw everything into winning the title, and then after that, it's almost like the burnout afterwards.
Yeah. And I think the similar style kind of as well, that heavy metal. And Klopp found that very early on, didn't he, with Liverpool? Yeah, that heavy metal. They couldn't kind of sustain that early on the next season. I think you're right a little bit of that with Napoli. And that's really sort of disintegrated away. Inter Milan looked like the team to beat. Another 1-0 victory there this weekend. So they lead the league. What I am going to do is get rid of that really annoying little circle there in the corner because I can't actually see how many points they've got, which would be nice to see, wouldn't it? There we go. Now we can see the points. 54 they've got there. So they're just ahead of Juventus, who are resurging as well. Juventus drew at Empoli, so they dropped points, and AC Milan drew with Bologna, so dropped points for them as well. And at the bottom of the table is still Salernitana, who are at the bottom. No draws for them. No draws. It's always a result at Salernitana. So yeah, if they're on your coupon next week, Dan, go one way or the other. Don't go down the middle. And the Bundesliga, and say Josh has been so upset with Klopp. He hasn't given me anything. It's ironic because Bayer Leverkusen have drawn. They've been on absolute winning streak, winning the last 4, but this week, and I do hope. I mean, obviously, I'm not in any sort of way wanting Liverpool to get the best result of their manager. Of course not. But I do hope it doesn't derail what Leverkusen are doing this season with the fact that, they were already asking Alonso like 20 minutes after it happened. And it's like, he probably, like the rest of us, was like, I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know that this was going to happen. And I've got a really massive job in front of me. So I do hope they let him do his job and work on. But Leverkusen drew 0-0 with Mönchengladbach this weekend. So that allowed Bayern Munich to catch them up slightly as they had a 3-2 win at Augsburg. Elsewhere, Stuttgart, they'd had a bit of a stuttering form. They managed to get a big 5-2 win against RB Leipzig, who themselves are on a 3-match losing streak. And elsewhere, Borussia Dortmund picked up their 3rd win in a row against Bochum. They beat Bochum. And at the bottom, the Darmstadt still remain there with Mainz just ahead of them. FC Union Berlin actually got a win, so they're starting to pull away a little bit from the relegation zone, but the wheels have certainly come off in comparison to how they were getting on last season. That is for sure. Elsewhere, we've got the Eredivisie. What's happened over there? PSV are absolutely storming this league. They're taking the absolute mick. They drew the other week. Shocking. Let themselves down, really. They were on an absolute perfect run until last weekend. But they threw the water bottles, as the football manager halftime team talk goes, and they got back on it this week. They had a win. Who did they beat? Almere City? I don't know. But PSV got the win, that's for sure. They still remain 12 points ahead of Feyenoord, so it's as good as done. Ajax have picked up a lot better. They're now just on the cusp of AZ Alkmaar and FC Twente. But it's PSV's to lose in the Eredivisie. Ligue 1, as Josh would say, it's Paris Saint-Germain. But they didn't win this season. They didn't win this week, this season, this week. Guys, this has been a long day. I'm telling you, these internet issues at the start, I am ready for bed. Paris Saint-Germain 2, Brest 2. Brest held them. It was 2-2. They stay third place. Brest just behind Nice. And Paris Saint-Germain for PSG are going to win the league. We all know they're going to win the league. Lyon have dropped back again. They had a couple of wins to pull themselves out of it. But again, they lost at home to Rennes. So they are now just behind Clermont Foot in 17th. So Lyon have been dragged right back into it. It could be trouble for Lyon. And then we have one more, which you're going to have to bear with me because, again, Charlotte had sent me something. And I don't have my email up anymore because my computer went and blew up. So I'm just going to find it in the background. Scottish Premier League. Right. Charles given me a nice little write-up here. So St Mirren nil, Rangers 1. I want to say Cyril Dessers scored the only goal of the game. I think he's one of Rangers' top goal scorers in the 14th minute, giving Rangers all 3 points in that game. Celtic 1, Ross County 0. Alistair Johnson scored in the first minute to give Celtic the lead at home to Ross County. The home side were given a penalty just before the half-hour mark, but midfielder Lewis Palmer failed to score it. Celtic continued to create chances and dominated play, but just couldn't score. Fortunately for them, though, one goal was enough to secure all 3 points and keep the top spot. Hearts 2, Aberdeenshire 0. Despite the final result, it was actually Aberdeen that stopped very brightly in this game. Bojan Miovski opened the scoring for Aberdeen, but unfortunately VAR intervened and disallowed the Macedonians' goal. Excuse me. Both teams went into half-time goalless, but in the 57th minute, Hearts were awarded a penalty that Jorge Grant? I prefer Jorge. Let's go with Jorge Grant converted from the spot. Despite playing well and having more chances, it just wasn't Aberdeen's day. And things went from bad to worse when podcasts say, oh, we like this guy, Lawrence Shankland. He's an absolute goal scorer, scored Hearts' second of the game. Somebody in England needs to snap him up. I want to see him in the English leagues, Lawrence Shankland. He's now scored 19 goals in all competitions this season. Wow. You can see why he's a target for a lot of English clubs this transfer window. Somebody needs to do something. This transfer window has been incredibly boring. It really has.
It's been crap, hasn't it?
Nothing's happened, and the only things that seem like they're going to happen are maybe a couple of loan deals. So,
I think even Burnley have got a potential loan deal for some Liga defender, Maxime Esteve, I think it's called, from Montpellier.
You just want to get another announcement video out, don't you? It's not even about the player.
Probably. All social media are just scratching at themselves like, what do we do? It's January. What can we do?
Marketing, they're going, I've got an idea. But yeah, someone from the French league, anyone from the French league to make this idea have got work. So Bristol Scottish Premier League, Kilmarnock 2, Hibs 2. Kilmarnock went 1-0 up in the 25th minute thanks to a Dylan Vente own goal. Despite being the worst team on the day, Kilmarnock saw themselves 2-0 up in the 54th minute thanks to Matthew Kennedy scoring their second. And then Kilmarnock went and did a Manchester United dropping a 2-0 lead. Hibs midfielder Joe Newell scored 12 minutes later, adding pressure to Kilmarnock. And it went from bad to worse for the home side when Corey and Darbar was sent off. And Moisian Moalida scored a well-deserved equaliser for Hibs. Livingston 1, Dundee 4. This really was a game that proved being the better team on the day, and having the better stats really doesn't matter. It's the goals that count. Livingston had a 63% possession and 8 more chances than Dundee, but weren't clinical enough on the day. Bakayoko gave Dundee the lead in the 19th minute. Then just before half-time, Livingston were awarded a lifeline when the referee gave the home side a penalty. Unfortunately, midfielder Andrew Shinnie missed it. He shinned it. And the day went just completely wrong from there. Forward Luke McGowan scored Dundee's second goal of the game just 12 minutes before he was sent off for his second yellow. Teti Yengi, what a name this is, Teti Yengi, then scored a consolation goal for the home side. But it was short-lived when both Zach Robinson and Michael Mellon added to the goal tally. And finally, St Johnstone won, Motherwell won. Goals from Ryan McGowan and Thelonious Barr allowed both teams to share the points on Saturday. There's some phenomenal names in the Scottish League.
I've never heard somebody actually called Thelonious apart from in Shrek when Lord Farquaad goes, Thelonious, and then he smashes the mirror. I've never heard the name Thelonious other than that moment.
Well, he now plays for St Johnston. That's quite the move.
Sorry if you're watching and I've just referenced your name to Shrek. That's really disrespectful of me. But
sorry about that. We need a podcast Thelonious. So if there's any Theloniouses in the chat, come forward. And that, I think, is the lot. We've done it. We've done the whole of Europe. We've made it all the way round. We've done lots of stuff, and
didn't even need a passport.
I didn't even need a passport from the comfort of our own living rooms. We were able to do it. And there we go. And thank you to everybody today joining us in the chat. I know it's been a bit hit and miss. Sorry it started so late. I've had a nightmare with my connection, but fortunately the legend that is Josh was able to step in and do it. And Dan, and the safe hands of Dan and Hannah. Of course, this is Dan's first one as a permanent team member. He was our January transfer window. So he was our big signing. So how have you found
it's only a loan. It's only a loan, like he said.
Only a loan.
No, it's an obligatory. No, I love it. I love being on here. Love chatting to everybody. So like I say, roll on the next one when I'm free.
Super stuff, mate. And of course, now it's time for your limerick. Your limerick is the one that we haven't got to yet. It's your exit limerick. Do
you want a surprise? I've got one to go hit back at you with.
No, he hasn't. He's pulled a cheeky limerick out.
Done it. First one. I'm going for it.
I'm with you on this one. Go on then. We'll have a limerick off. We have Dan. He's a treat, a delight. What a pleasure he joins us tonight with a smile, not a frown. Even though Burnley could go down, you can catch him with us on Monday night.
I love that. I thought you did, but. Oh, I love it. To be fair, I was just going to fire back with something. It's a pleasure to be back. Thanks, Sam, alongside legends like Joshy and Han. So thanks to the chat. Hope you're all good on that, no matter who you support as a fan.
Oh, very nice. That's the perfect ending. Look at that. I feel all warm and cozy. I just need some marshmallows and a hot chocolate, and I'm away.
See you soon.
See you soon. So thank you to everybody for joining us today. Hopefully we've been able to cover. I know there's no Premier League. We've had Klopp leaving Liverpool. We've had FA Cup. We've got plenty to talk about. So it's kept us going. That is for sure. And of course, you need more Dan in your life. Where can people find you on the Twitterati, the Twitterverse?
I am everywhere. I am like crap in a field. I am there. So yeah, Turf Morehouse TV. I've had a bit of a rebrand. I'm going to try and get back into doing some shows as well because I've been a little bit lazy on that front with working and stuff. So I'm going to get back into it. So yeah, I'm actually live tomorrow doing a match preview for the City game. Basically, just having a City fan rant about how good they are, how much money they've got, and how they're going to trounce us 6-0. But hey ho, let the community talk. Let them say what they need to say before they go to the EFL with FF people. So no, thank you everyone for your love and support, and yeah, please do check us out. Turf Morehouse TV on every social you can think of. You're muted, Sam. You're muted.
Look, I am muted. Today just needs to... Let's bring Tuesday on because Monday has been a day. Let's just call it a day. Shall I give my socials? I probably don't know what those are either.
Yeah, go for it.
I am up the FM Ducks when my computer's behaving and I can get online. Usually I am on Twitter. Sometimes I'm doing stuff on TikTok, but most of the time I'm here on the Absolute Football Pod, either on the show or doing stuff behind the scenes. We've got 3 shows a week, if you're not aware now, and I'm just going to bring that up as well because we have the podcast socials, and here they are. We are at Absolute Football Pod on Twitter. We are Absolute Football Podcast on YouTube. We are Absolute Football Podcast on Twitch, Absolute Football Pod on TikTok, on Instagram and Threads, Absolute Football Podcast _, and on Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. We are Mondays, we are Wednesdays, we are Thursdays. On Wednesday coming up is our brilliant WSL team. We're covering the WSL and Women's Championship, which is back with some interesting games to cover. I think Charlotte's hosting that one, if her poorly throat's okay. We've got the team. I think we've got Danny. I think we've got Freya on this week. Possibly Chloe's on. So that's super exciting. And of course, on Thursday we have. It's been a wrestling weekend. If you're a wrestling fan, it's been the Royal Rumble. We have our Royal Rabble on a Thursday. They are the lower league, the award-winning lower league team. who will be with you. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but it's going to be definitely some of your favourites. Aunt Claire, Nick, Farley, Shah. It'll be a mix of those guys talking to you about all the lower league action, all the FA Cup action as well, taking the view from the underdogs, from the minnows, and giving you their love and support during that show. You are welcome in the chat. We love you in the chat. Thank you all for being with us. Just a few we'll bring up here as well. So Alad's come and joined us late. Couldn't beat a bus stop in Burnley. Yeah, I think he's been at the Blackburn Wrexham game today, working his way through. Spenny fan Chris has been keeping us updated on AFCON as well. It's extra time between Senegal and the Ivory Coast. So crack that on your tellies when we're done. Graham, Sam the Limit, thank you, Graham. Thank you very much. Charlotte, actually love it. Smash it as always, guys. Thank you, Charlotte. We're looking forward to your shows coming up this week. Heather's in the chat giving some love. Graham, great show, guys. Mr. Luke's enjoying it. Everyone's having a great day. Graham is top of the Women's Championship. Sean, he calls it the Bonkers Thursday pod. But from the Bonkers Monday pod that we just had, that is it from us. Take care of yourselves. Thank you all for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one.